Hey all, Rick Rex here, back with another one for you on DCUO. And this time we're continuing our look at the electric power set and concentrating on the ranged AOE setup. Now electric has continued to impress me with what it can do, and single target was a blast, but this one's damage is pretty extreme and I know you're going to love what I've got cooked up for us. We as always will take a look at the build, including the mods, the artifacts, and the allies, and of course we'll check out what kind of damage this thing puts out. But first, if you like what you see and you want more, hit that like and subscribe button to help keep the channel growing and also to not miss one single update as they drop. Okay, so electric AOE. Now this power set is a complicated one. You have two different PIs or power interactions, a lot of dots or damage over time powers, and a good deal of burst powers also. Now some are single target and some are AOE, so sifting through this one was a challenge to find just the right thing to make this power stand out. Now there are also some intricacies to it that we have to consider. In our single target loadout, it was important to keep a dot and a hard-hitting middle power, where in the AoE, the most hard-hitting loadout doesn't even take advantage of the long cooldown dots. Now again, I see a ton of people gravitating towards the Electrogenesis and their AoE loadouts, and that is actually hurting the damage performance of the power. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and hop right into our white mods as always. Now in our weapon, we're going Replenishing Adapter, just in case we run out of power, we can get it back quickly. And in our head, we're going Supercharged Circuit Breaker. As most know, this is really the go-to when it comes to superchargers and is one of the things that really makes electric stand out from the crowd when putting it next to other power sets. In our neck, we're going Escalating Might to take advantage of the extra 2% might buff that it gives us. And in our back, we're going Accelerated Tesla Ball. This one is used in this loadout, and it's a great thing to have this power waiting on you when you cast instead of you be waiting on it to come off cooldown. Now in our chest, we're going Penetrating Strikes, as it will drop NPC defenses by 2% for us, which far outweighs the 2% damage buff that Core Strength provides. If you haven't moved over to Penetrating Strikes yet, it is way past time to get that done. In our legs, well, this one's a pick and choose, y'all. Nothing will really help our cause here, so you're free to do what you would like. In our feet, we're going Tumbling Master, and I really can't remember a time when this wasn't useful with the challenges the environment places on us in today's content. And in our hands, we're going Max Damage to take advantage of that 2% damage buff that it gives us. For artifacts, we're going with an unusual combo for this one, Trans, Strat, and Grim. Trans for the extra crits that it provides, Strat to leverage those crits into innate damage, and Grim for a few reasons. First, we get some decent damage from Grim himself as a damage companion acting similar to Robot Sidekick. Second, we get a reduction in power consumption from him while using Robot Sidekick as well. And third, we get a PI applied to enemies, which is huge. Now this one in particular applies the Polarized PI, which is the most important part. The hardest hitting group of powers is found in the electrified side of the power, but there's some usefulness to the polarized side of the house too. More on that in just a second. Now for allies, we're going with the AOE Trinity, Superman, Batman Who Laughs, and Shazam. Now we're using Supes in the damage slot for his AOE cone attack, Freezing Breath. This one hits super nicely and consistently, which is a big plus. Now some of you may be gravitating towards putting Shazam in this slot. He at current time does hit for 3 times the damage of an average ally, but it's already been confirmed that he will be nerfed in the very near future, making Superman still the go-to. Now if you don't have Supes leveled, Cyborg will work well in this slot also. Now for our first passive, we're going with Batman Who Laughs for his Luck of the Draw ability and the buffs that his cards provide us. And by the way y'all, this one is a staple and something every DPS should have in their build. And to round out our trinity, we're using Shazam for his Power of the Shazamily ability. Now this one is also a staple and something that every DPS should have. Every time you throw an ally, it buffs you 6% on your might stat line, making him like an Omega that you get to constantly throw over and over. This buff, by the way, lasts for 30 seconds and is just downright amazing. Now for our build, we'll start with our weapon. Now we won't be spending any points here as we just simply won't be using it. For our movement mode, we're going to grab our super, pick up one of the second row of your choosing, doesn't matter which, and then grab our innates, acrobatics to the lower right, and everyone else to the left. Now for our iconics, we're only going to pick up Robot Sidekick here as nothing else is necessary. For our stat or skill points, we're going superpowered focus, we're going to max out our crit attack chance and damage, and then we're going to dump everything into might and power. Anything left over from here is going to go straight into health, because remember y'all, a dead DPS does no DPS. So for comparison's sake, this build puts my might at 177,817. Yours will more than likely be higher on live as most of my tunes are, but this will allow you to gauge how this build will perform on your tune pretty well. And now for the star of the show, and that's the loadout. Now we're going with Arc Lightning, Tesla Ball, Electrostatic Bomb, and Voltaic Blast. Very unusual combination. And then we're going to round that out with Robot Sidekick and Circuit Breaker. So what we have going on here is simple but complex at the same time. Arc Lightning still has a split issue after all of these years, causing it to still be a wonderful power when dealing with ads. And on top of the great damage it gives us, it is also used as a PI applicator, which will set in motion the electrified PI. Now this is important for Tesla Ball and Voltaic Blast. Tesla Ball is a great dot power that lasts for 6 seconds and hits as hard as any dot in the game, plus with the PI it gets an extra bump there. Now Voltaic Blast is a burst damage that does massive damage to go along with it that is also affected by that electrified PI. Now then we have Electrostatic Bomb. This is also a dot, but it only does 3 ticks and deals phenomenal damage, but it only shines if we have the polarized PI going. This is the reason we're using Grim instead of Quiz. So our rotation here is pretty simple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and rinse and repeat. So now that we have all of that out of the way, let's see what kind of damage this thing can do. Okay, I am blown away. So let's go ahead and get the bad, if you want to call it that, out of the way right quick. Our low comes in at 219,021 DPS. Now, as a heads up, that ain't a bad parse on any power set, but it looks like the crits on this one just didn't fall in the right place, and this one was an anomaly. So now, let's talk about the good. Where do I start? Jeez. Okay, so let's talk about the all-around damage at first that this loadout is going to do. Its average, or where the loadout is going to live, is a whopping mid 240s to mid 250s, which easily makes this one of the hardest hitting powers that we've done. Crazy enough, the high on this thing comes in at a gigantic 292,435 DPS. That is incredible. And yes, as you could see, there hasn't even been a super thrown yet. Electric is literally on fire. Even though this one hits so hard, it's time for my favorite part. Let's drop everything. Man, I love that part. Okay, so our big hit comes in at 2,247,163 damage per second. Yeah, that's right. For those of you sitting in the back, that's 22.5 million in damage in 10 seconds. You want to melt some ads? This is the way. Now, we followed that one up with a massive 308,629 damage per second before settling back into normal with our parsings. Electric is crazy good, y'all. And sadly, that wraps this one up. I hope y'all enjoyed this one so much, and thanks y'all for joining. Once again, if you like what you see and you want more, hit that like and subscribe button to help keep the channel growing and also to not miss one single update as they drop. I'll see y'all next time.